Hey everyone, how you doing? It's Imran Web Squadron, the first live chat of 2024. How are you all? I hope you're all doing okay. I haven't done a live chat, I think, for 3 weeks. I think nearly close enough or whatever. Mainly because I've been a little bit busy with things. Also, Christmas holidays. Had my son Raheem at home for 2 weeks, so I had to kind of manage to juggle all that, but it also gave me a bit of good reflection time as well. So I was able to kind of think more about 2024 in terms of what do I want to do for our courses, web design work, pricing strategies. I'm adapting things a little bit for that, basically increasing our prices in various areas. Hey, friendly girl, hope you had a good break as well. Hope you had a good Christmas. I hope you got to enjoy time with friends and family, but I hope you're doing really good and geared up for 2024. Um, hey, B Informatica. And also, I was having a think about other videos that I want to record, but I also had a very hard think about, hey, Richard, my friend. I also had a really good hard think about how I'm going to use up my time as well. So, in terms of live chats, I will probably only do one live chat per week. So it will only be Wednesday, kind of like this time, 12 till 1. Hey, Hakan, how you doing? Hey, Nick, hope you're all right, my friend. So before we used to do 5 live chats a week, which was quite a bit. And then in 2023, some point midway through the year, I shortened it down to be 3 days a week. I am going to be reducing it to 1 day a week. And it's because I've got to this point where sometimes I would be like really like right honed in. I'm working on a website, or I'm working on something for a client, or I've got meetings, and you're jumping around and juggling things. And then there was the live chat. And I love the live chats. I love engaging with all of you. And I'm not just saying that. If I didn't love it, we wouldn't be doing it. And I don't know what it's like for some of you, but when you kind of are honed in and then you stop, it can take like 20 minutes for you to really get you back in the zone. And sometimes you're doing the live chat and there's something bugging you at the back of your mind. But because you're on a live chat, you can't really address it or look into it. Hey, Fat Gian, Plorat, how are you doing, my friend? Yeah, I'm really glad 2024 is here, and I hope you're all geared up. Anime Newsburst says, what is the best theme for entertainment news magazine? So, Anime, the questions you really need to answer are, what are you using? Are you using Bricks, Breakdance, Elementor, Gutenberg? When you say you want an entertainment news magazine, what do you want to be using? What do you want to show? Why couldn't you build your own? Because I could easily start reeling off like loads of entertainment magazine layouts for you. I could say go to Theme Forest, go to Envato. I could say go to Dribble and look at layouts. But what do you want to get out of it? Because it's like someone saying to me, what is the perfect car? I need a car. Tell me the perfect car. Do you need a convertible? Because there's two of you and there's never going to be any more and you're never going to give a lift. Do you need an 8-seater or a 20-seater? 20-seater? Can you get a 20-seater? What do you need? Do you have a family? Do you need like an SUV? So the answer to what is the best theme, it's more about the question. And that is like anyone who contacts me and says, hey, I want a website built. What's it going to cost? What do you need? I can't tell you, I can't make up a price out in the middle of the air. Middle of the air? No, pluck it out of the air. I need to know what you want. Hey, Safe, I learn a lot. Hey, great to hear that, my friend. And I'm always learning as well. I don't know everything. Far from it. Like, if you were to say WordPress and websites like 100%, I think I am 20%. That's where I would class myself. But you're always learning from other people as well, and what's happening in the market and audiences and customers. And then you nurture that to work for you. So I always say it's okay if I don't know 80%. The 20% I know is enough for me to do what I need to do, and I'm okay, I'm happy. That's something I live by. Like when I learned SQL 22 years ago, right? I did not know everything. I did not know. Even like 5 years ago, Python, our statistics and all of that. I don't know that, but I don't need to know that and never did need to do that to do what I do. So I always say, as long as you're getting good value out of what you can do and you're successful in it, it's like cooking, isn't it, friendly girl? Right? There's going to be someone out there that can bake an amazing cake. They can throw in the ingredients and they can make the most amazing cake ever. But when you're cooking for your family or you're baking cake, you may be nowhere in comparison to that person, but you know your family love it when you bake a cake. When I bake a cake, it ends up burnt, so let's not go there. Paul, great to have you here. Paul's resolution is to watch more live chats in 2024. Well, let me tell you, I'm only going to do one live chat a week, all right? I'm reducing it down to only Wednesday. I think that's not just for my benefit, but sometimes I feel like I love some of you so much, right? The way you keep coming back and we engage and we talk, and we may never meet face to face, but I just love the whole thing about talking and chatting together. However, I always do also feel a bit like I hope I'm not affecting their work. I hope they're still cracking on. I hope they're ignoring me. Don't tune in if you're busy, right? Okay, seriously, you're not going to get any magic dust or fairy powder or pixie dust or whatever from me when you watch these live chats. So always put your own work and your own life and your own family and your food. Hey, Richard, it's lunchtime. What are you eating? If you're still there, Richard. Friendly girl, what are you eating? Hey, John, how are you doing? Hey, Charlie, Thailand Divers, great to have you here. What are you all eating? Anyone who's eating their lunch, tell me what you're eating. But the live chats will be just one Wednesday per week. So Wednesday, live chat. Sive says he's facing a problem in setting hero section background image, many times like width of height. So the thing is, Sive, when you say you have a problem, is it that you got an image and I don't know, what is the size of your image, right? So if it's a hero section background image, it's got to be a minimum of 1920 by 1080. So what are you doing? 1920 by 1080. And are you setting your image as a contain, a cover? Is it just an image? Is it a full width image? Or is it just an image which is like over here or over here? Tell us a little bit more if you can. John is having a sandwich. John, that's not enough. What kind of sandwich? Richard has nailed it. Richard is having a chicken sandwich and hula hoops. That does sound quite tasty, but now I need to know more. What kind of chicken? Roasted chicken, plain chicken, chicken tikka, coronation chicken. If anyone is vegan or vegetarian, I apologize, but what kind of chicken sandwich are you having? And hula hoops as a bit of a snack or a dessert is quite nice, isn't it? Ooh, friendly girl just made vegetarian casserole. Do you know what? About 15 years ago, 2009, a friend of mine cooked moussaka. I'd never had moussaka. And I was blown away because I don't always eat a lot of potatoy food, but I was blown away by how gorgeous and wonderful it was. And of course, all of us have tried ratatouille, haven't we, after watching the movie? And you go, sacre bleu. Unboxing. Can you see my website? Here we go. I'm about to invite someone is coming in, everyone. He's invading in. He's coming in. He's coming in. He's coming in. And there we go. We've got Paul. How you doing, my friend?
I'm very good. You okay?
I am. So unboxing, this is also one. So 2024, like I said, I'm making quite a few changes. I've really reflected on the previous year and this year. I'm not going to be doing website reviews during live chats anymore. So what I'm now going to say is if anyone wants me to do it, they email me. And if they want private consultation, we can. Or you just go to our Web Squadron Facebook group and post it there. And I will comment on it there, as will other people. And the same, I would say, goes for like WP Tuts' channel as well. If you want reviews, I could give you mine. But then if you paste it into the Web Squadron Facebook group, it'll be my opinion, other people's opinion. And it means that sometimes we're not using up like 20, 30 minutes of, say, a live chat, which is just for one thing, which can sometimes feel a bit unfair. So I hope you don't mind unboxing, but I'd say go to the Facebook group, Web Squadron group, go and paste it in there. And Yeah, I think that's the best way to do it. How are you doing, Paul?
I'm very, very good. Thank you. Yourself?
I am feeling a little bit refreshed, but I've also, like I said, I've done some real hardcore reflection on what I want to achieve for 2024. So I feel like I'm just going to quickly answer a few questions and I'm going to tell you what my thoughts are. So Richard's eating a plain sandwich because I asked him about what kind of chicken sandwich he was eating. Plain chicken, drizzle of salad cream. I'll let that go. I prefer a bit more.
Oh,
Plain chicken doesn't always do it for me. There's got to be something a little bit more in there. Right. Okay. So 2024. Um, I know that like about 2 or 3 years ago, you reflected on how much video content you were putting out there versus actual working with clients. And
mhm.
you had to you have to make a call where you kind of go, do I treat them equally or do I put more effort into one over the other? I'm at that stage now where client work is, we get work in. There's always new websites to be built. We've upped our prices and we still get clients. We're okay with that. However, when you start to look at the amount of content you put out and how you can turn things around, um, generate things for people as well, companies want to work with you in content as well, versus video calls and meetings with clients, after a while, it starts to feel a little bit like, I'm not really enjoying this anymore. And it's like, yesterday, one of my really old legacy clients, they just sent me like 100 images going, can you change these for me? They're on a legacy contract. I don't feel right about saying, well, you've got to pay much more now compared to what you were paying 5 years ago. And the value of what you get doing that kind of work, it suddenly does not feel as tasty as
No.
it did. And I think that's the kind of position you were in a couple of years ago, 3 years ago.
It was basically when COVID hit. I
Mm,
had to kind of make the decision: do I focus on? I mean, my plan was always the case of I never really had the maintenance plans as a big part of the business. I never really wanted. I wanted to sort of once someone had paid me, I'd done the project, I'd trained them up on how to use it. I would rather them be self sufficient than have to rely on me. If they wanted me to do it, I'm more than happy to do it. And we did put contracts in place and things along those lines. But COVID kind of came along as a case of, right, I know that my web design side of things is going to fall flat in its butt because I've set things up in such a way that they're not reliant upon me,
yeah.
which is fine. So the decision that I made was I either stress and worry and wonder what the hell I'm going to do, or I double down on creating content on YouTube. And if you kind of think about it, when COVID hit, there were a lot of people that were massively impacted, and they were looking for a side hustle. They were looking at ways
Mm,
to supplement incomes and things. And web design was obviously one of those areas. So I kind of felt like once I put the effort into doing that, I kind of thought, well, if people want to do a side hustle and I can help them in any way whatsoever, from a business point of view, from the experience that I've had over the 15 years, 20 years of doing this kind of thing, I would rather do that and spend my time and effort creating content to help other people than stress and worry about my own side of things. So I think you're probably on the right track. I mean, you were probably at that or getting close to that pivotal point of, do I focus on Web Squadron, the business working with clients, or do I work on Web Squadron, the website, the YouTube channel, the content creation, the course creation and things,
exactly. Yeah,
and you become the master of your own destiny as opposed to
exactly.
being so reliant upon clients and things and client work and maintenance contracts and so
Yeah.
on.
Because what it comes down to is, and I am going to be doing a video soon just to kind of clarify to people that if you ever do want to start the YouTube journey, there's loads of things you do need to consider, and don't assume or think you're rolling in money. It doesn't work like that. But it's about the feast and famine stages that can come with
Mm.
when you just focus on web design. And you'll have a great month and then you might have a slow month or not a good month. Whereas you always know that when you're putting out content, you're continuously helping people. And one of the secrets for any business that wants to be successful, whether you're a web designer or a dentist or anyone out there, you've got to put yourself out there, whether it's via brochures, leaflets, social media, whatever. And by continuously putting out content, you got to make sure you put out good content. You are keeping yourself out there in the public domain in a way. And I feel like I don't mind working on websites, but it just doesn't have that fun factor as much as when you put out a video and then someone goes and puts a comment. You know, when you wake up in the morning, I mean, when I wake, I mean, look, you all know my story. I wake up in the morning, jump on the treadmill, I'm running away, watching Paul's latest video, whatever videos I've added to my watch later list. And then you replying to the comments. And when you get like, I mean, sometimes it's never ending, is it, Paul? Like you check your comments every 1
Yeah.
hour, 2 hours, and it's like, you know,
It's an obsession.
it is, but it, you know, late at night you go, oh, what's the latest comments? Better reply. But when you get that feedback, it trumps the almost any feedback you get from a client. Because
Oh yeah.
sometimes I feel like clients, when they say, oh yeah, that's great, I often wonder, do they really mean that, or are they just saying that because they want to get the website done or whatever? Whereas when someone who does not know you just pops along and goes, oh, that really, really helped me. You know, that just today someone put a comment on the Bricks community out the blue saying, and I made sure that I
Yeah.
mentioned you and Dave and Kevin as well. And it was like, oh, you know, I haven't done a Bricks video for a while. It was like, oh, that's really nice. And it's like the ingredient that makes you want to do more.
It's a different dynamic to a client relationship because
Yeah.
you know, when you get appreciation of people off their own back, there's no money involved. There's no skin in the game, as it were, from their point of view. So it is a case of, I think they're just appreciative of the fact of you created something, you've helped them in some way, you know, whatever format that's taken. I think that's where the big difference is. And I think, yeah, you get a lot more value from that as a content creator because you know, when you're working for a client, you've got a set brief of what needs to be created. You know, they've got expectations, you've got expectations. There's a kind of a battle of wills at some point in there to a less or greater degree of making sure that they get what they want while still retaining your credibility and, you know, the skills that they're paying you for. But when it comes to creating content and you're helping people in a different way, there's a lot more satisfaction from that point of view. And I don't think you'd ever get that from a client, no matter how good a
No.
relationship you have with them.
No, and like you said, you are the master of your own destiny. Just want to say quick hi to Eddie, Hungry Mutts, Halal, Pickstar, Dave Den, all of you. Sorry for not Matty Check as well. Sorry for not saying hi earlier, but we were just chatting away. Now, I'm just going to quickly touch a question that Young's Guide says. How do you deliver websites to clients? Do you access their hosting and publish directly to their site? I generally I like to build it in a separate area until I know the client has paid fully, because you could easily build it on their website. They then refuse to pay you. Even if you remove the website, some clients are quite clever and they'll just go to their hosting company who might have a copy, and then they've got the website up and running. So I would say try and build it in, you know, like you could build it locally, you could build it on a separate staging site and then transfer it over. I would say just be careful, even with clients that you know really, really well. You know, until you know you are fully paid up, be careful sometimes of building, because they could just say, right, boom, go, and they don't pay you, and well, you know, it becomes a bit of a tricky scenario. I
Yeah.
mean, would you do the same, build locally, or do you use WP Manage, or was it Insta WP?
It's the WP I use.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'll develop on a staging site or an external site or a different domain, or maybe even just a domain that I've got. I mean, I've purchased domains and I just literally just use them for development, or I have done in the past. Now I'll do it on InstaWP because then I can build it, I can give them access to it, we can get the feedback, and then, like you say, once payment has been completed, only then do I migrate the site over, replace the previous site with the new site, or if it's completely new, you know, launch the site in whatever format they want. Yeah, you never build it on their server where they have control over being able to stop your project at any given point without payment.
absolutely. Yeah. Now now Paul did a live chat yesterday, and he touched on the I can't remember what it is now, the display conditions
Mm,
with the new Elementor Beta 3.19. And it's funny because Paul you put out a post earlier where you mentioned about the dynamic conditions and how that wasn't available, and that's
yeah.
literally, I was like umming and ahhing about, do I want to do a video on that as well? But I'm delaying now until I get the final version, because a little bit like what you said, and I do agree with the version coming out as a beta, I always feel like, how far is this to the finished article, or is it really just getting the feelers out for what people think? And even though it is late compared to the market, and there's so many other solutions and plugins and ways to do it, I'm glad they're doing it. But it would be a real pain in the ass if you couldn't do the display condition, not display, the custom field aspect of
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
There must be a way, and I always like to experiment a little bit, but I'm sure I'd like to think there is a way to do it, to hook into something. But that
Not
being
yet.
said, sorry, Paul, I'll let you speak. That being said, the taxonomy filter, since it came out in July, hasn't really moved on beyond what we got in July. Well, no, sorry,
No.
it has. We got multiple selection, but it's still not perfect. So I feel
Yeah.
like, I'd like to see those things polished off first.
Yeah, I think my comment yesterday and the sort of like my reasoning to it, and I know Verdi sort of commented saying this is just an MVP, in other words, a minimal viable product.
Yeah.
But my argument to that was, and I posted this in the Facebook group yesterday, is I think that's valid when it comes to, completely new features, features that we don't already have access to via third-party plugins. Things like dynamic conditions. You've got the dynamic.000. They've got a range of different options for it. There's lots of different tools that allow you to do it. So it's already a tried and proven feature that people have been asking for 6+ years. So an MVP seems
Mm.
pointless in my opinion. You may as well have spent an extra month or 6 weeks focusing on, right, let's release it in its pretty much full and final format. But what we kind of have at the moment is really kind of half-assed. You've got the ability to work with dates and times and sort of like URLs, your referrers and things like that, and your logged in status and so on, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But to completely have no control over any kind of custom post type taxonomy, dynamic data, dynamic tags, or anything like that seems just a bit silly to me. And we know historically, as you've just said, like with the taxonomy filter, they're either very, very slow to bring the full version of what we need out, or it doesn't come out. And
Mm.
I kind of get, there's I'm not the only person that's leveled criticism at Elementor for this kind of process in the past. I've brought it up many, many different times where to go back to like dynamic tags when we first had those, and you had things like the star rating. You had the star rating, but you literally only had manual control over 1 to 5, 6 to 10.
Yeah.
And you kind of think, well, surely dynamic data would make so much sense. And it took like a year, 18 months for it to come out. And I just don't understand the logic in this. I mean, we know there's not just one team of developers working on all of the features. Verdi's sort of voiced this numbers of times that there's different groups of developers working on different parts of Elementor. So why create half a feature when you know there's a market out there for you? Know people have been asking for this for 6+ years. Just doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, my thoughts towards it are, when I first started, like, whenever a beta came out, I always got excited because it was like, oh, I wonder what new features there are. But then over, I would say, most of 2023, I've come to this line where I feel like the betas should be maybe for like a close knit, like almost secret group. It doesn't have to
Mm.
be us. It could be just a group. You could have 100, 200 people in there, so you get a good variety of opinions and thoughts and
Yeah, close
bug,
beta.
bug check. Yeah, and I would rather know that when the version actually is now released to the public, it is actually that version. And it's a bit like what Bricks do. They don't release it until they've got that version almost. Well, they do a little bit of dev as well, but not a huge amount. But it's like, when I think about all the bits of software I've got right now on your machine, you don't want to get a beta version or something come out. You test it out, and then it always feels like, is that the final version then? Is that exactly how it's going to work? Do I use it or not?
Mm.
Um, because there will be some people who are going to see the display conditions, and they might roll it out straight away because they're working on a project and they don't want to use a third party plugin. And there's the big risk that comes with that, because you should never use a beta version. But I've lost count of how many people out there are using dev versions of Elementor, which I never understand. Like, why are they doing that? That's the worst versions to use. But um, I would prefer it if it was like, test it out with a few people. We'll let you know our thoughts and whatever. and then go for the final version, a bit more polished.
But I can't see, like, with dealing with the conditions specifically, I can't see why they would take that long to implement. I mean, you've got, you think dynamic conditions by the German sort of company, and that's been out for like 5 years, I think. Something I've covered that in tons of videos. And that hasn't really changed. It hasn't been much in the way of addition to the different parameters you've got there to filter against. So you could literally just say, well, let's look at what they've done and implement something very similar into Elementor. Surely check in basic conditions against dynamic fields and so on. It's not that complicated in comparison to some of the other things that have been implemented. So, would it really have taken that much longer to implement let's just say an 80% fully featured version as opposed to 40-50% that we currently have?
No, it's a good answer. Yeah, Jason makes a good point. We've got 36 people watching. We only got 17 likes. That's actually a record for the live chats. We barely break more beyond probably 2 or 3 likes. No, but if you're watching, please don't forget to smash the like button. But like I said right at the start, I've done a lot of reflection over the Christmas period about 2024. So one of them was about website work versus, influence or YouTube video creations and all of that. But also it was about putting more time into the course creation and really developing the current course I've got out there. But also, it's gone out of my head now. It was course creation and something else. It's gone out of my head now.
OnlyFans?
No, definitely not that. But no, I think it was more a case of it was kind of exploring other avenues as well of how to get yourself out there, because I feel like we're quite well known on YouTube with regards to WordPress and stuff like that, but it almost like feels like, how can you get yourself out there so that, right, I'm not explaining this very well at all. So people will know me from watching the videos, and people will probably know that, we've done live chats together, and people will know you from your history with WordPress and all of that, and loads of things. But I feel like there's so many other WordPress markets out there that I've never really engaged with. So I don't know, WP Tavern, I could go on and on about, there's all these other outlets, all these other podcasts, all these other people out there that do stuff where I feel like sometimes I'm just working in my own little shell. And I feel like, do I want to start engaging more? So I'll give you an example of someone, and this is not a criticism in case anyone now takes a soundbite and uses it as a criticism. This is not a criticism. Kevin Geary is actually very, very good at engaging with other people. And I've noticed that he does appear on a lot of other podcasts and forums and places. So there's one he's appearing on, I think, tomorrow. I can't remember what it's called now. But he's very good at doing that. And it's not just to showboat or showcase ACSS and all of that. It's actually to come in and have a conversation about WordPress or AI and other stuff like that. And I feel like that's something I've just not done enough of. It would mean juggling time, though, because I'll be honest, when I know I've got a meeting, like I had a meeting yesterday with someone for about half an hour, and even that was like a pain. I was like, oh God, I've got to book out time now, and I could be jogging or doing something else. But does that interest you in terms of getting yourself out there in other WordPressy outlets or avenues?
I think first of all, we need to identify why someone like Kevin is just sort of having that impact in those areas. And I think the most important thing that we need to take away and understand is that Kevin has a very strong opinion about lots of things when it comes to WordPress, web design, and so on. And I think if you have a very strong opinion, whether it's a polarizing opinion or what, that's where the conversation starts. And I would say, from your point of view, you don't give much in the way of an opinion. Now, that's not a criticism. That's just, I know for myself that I don't really give a huge amount of opinion with lots of things. And I think that's probably where the divergence is. You've
Very
got someone
true.
that's involved in the education side of things and the training side of things and that area, but also has a very strong opinion, a very polarizing opinion with lots of people, and a very polarizing personality. So I think if you've got that, whether that's intentional or not, this is probably where you'll find that, people want polarizing people on there because they want to get the conversation started. I know, for example, yesterday, the video I put out, one of the things I said on there was about accessibility. And while I think accessibility in web design is a good thing, and I think is something that should be promoted and pushed, I don't personally like the fact that governments are going to get involved and make this a law.
Yeah.
And that's one of those things that I think when you kind of consider, how that's been handled with things like GDPR and, the international versions of that, like COPPA and stuff like that, or you've got things like the cookie directive, they were badly handled. There were better ways of handling it. Why? Because you had people that don't really understand what is trying to be achieved coming in and using a sledgehammer to crack a nut. And I think this is what I'm afraid of when it comes to, accessibility. And obviously you get people then going like, I don't think you're right. I think it should be law, blah, 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 which is fine. We all have our opinions, and our opinions are based upon our experiences and our thoughts and what we think. And I think this is where it's interesting, because you'll find the most polarizing people are the ones that will get the most attention and have the most conversation and engagement. Whereas if you toe that sort of like safe middle line where you don't really express a strong opinion one way or the other, you will get less attention from that side of things. I know I get people saying like, Paul hates Elementor. I had comments on it on the one yesterday about the, why we waited so long for the conditions thing. And I don't get it. I don't hate Elementor. I've only ever been critical where criticism is deserved, and I've been praising where praise was deserved. But people don't see that. So you get this polarizing opinion of like, well, you hate Elementor. It's like, I don't hate Elementor. It's a piece of bloody software. I could care less either way. But if I think something is wrong or could be better or could be improved, I'll say it. Do people have to listen? Not at all. You can agree, disagree, doesn't matter, whatever. But that's the whole point of an opinion. No one died from someone else's opinion. And I think this is the thing we need to consider. So I think if you are looking to get into, should we say, a wider audience, then I think the easiest way to do that is to start having or expressing your opinion and your thoughts on things, especially when they're polarizing to the common kind of perception.
And that's the reason why I've not really gone down that road. And it's something that does slightly put me off as well, because when I've seen some of these podcasts, you're absolutely right, they can be very polarizing. And it's mainly because it's almost like, because their reputation is built on that, almost like the podcast, that's where their reputation sits, with the whole like opinionated opinions basically. Whereas we kind of built up reputations over being more like guides or training and things like that. And it's something I learned a long time ago when I first started using Twitter. I once wrote something where I shared my opinion of something, and the negative feedback I got from that with people at work, and I was like, whoa, it's just an opinion, get over it, I didn't mean anything. I suddenly learned the lesson there that, I could be on a live chat with someone and they might say something that I really don't like, but I'll probably just go with it because I hate confrontation. I hate, I've been there, done that, and I just don't have time for,
I do and I do
arguments.
and I don't. Sometimes I'm definitely up for it. Sometimes I just think I can't be bothered.
Yeah.
And Nicholas, just to say, I'm glad you welcome my personal opinion. I mean, even if it does seem a bit unfair, I do apologize if you think it's unfair, but that's part of the fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, and I just, I tell you what, people must know by now, I don't really go to my parents' house a lot. And just going over Christmas just reminded me again, the minute I open my mouth, it always ends in a little bit of a mini argument. So I literally just sit there, and I don't want to use these terms, but I have to play dumb, because if I say anything intelligent, I just know it's going to create a bit of an argument, anything like. So I just want to touch on, Paul. Obviously, you shared some of your plans for 2024, and you shared some details about what kind of conversations and things you think will be happening with AI. But have you got any like plans for 2024 in terms of what you're going to be doing in terms of like courses or different style videos? I mean, I'm going to continue doing what I do. I'm not going to drift into any other types of videos, but are you going to do the same, or are you going to, because I remember you were thinking about, was it cooking at one
No,
stage?
I think you must be dreaming.
I'm
I think you're
sure
dreaming.
you did something with
No,
cooking. Or did
no.
I make? Did I
Only
imagine
cooking
that?
to eat. No, I think you must be imagining that. Or you've been having strange dreams again. Um, I think 2024, I changed a lot of things about what I do in 23. And I think I'm going to keep pushing forward with that aspect of things. I mean, anybody that's sort of seen videos recently is that I changed the way, reliance upon something like YouTube. And it's to kind of go back to what we were talking about maybe 10, 15 minutes ago, about business and pushing forward, things like that. I know from my point of view, I changed things because when we had the issue towards the end of last year where YouTube just basically killed our revenue for several months, lost thousands and thousands, it made me realize I don't want to be reliant upon this. So I changed the way that I work. I work with brands and I have sponsored slots in my videos. And, I've had one or two criticisms about it. But at the end of the day, I'm a business. And the content that 99.9% of the content that people consume from me is absolutely free. So if a 30-second slot in the middle of a video means that I can keep doing that, that's the balance that I will strike. And I've always been sort of like mindful of the fact that I will put content in there, sponsored content that is relevant to my audience, and not just sponsored content for the sake of sponsored content. And I'm hot on that side of things. So that will continue moving forward. Courses, yes, I probably will do some more courses because it's a nice way of being able to structure things the way that you want. But what I will do is, unlike the way that you've done things, which is, you've created this core and then you're expanding it
Yeah.
to make it more valuable to the end user, which is great. For me, I'm going to kind of take a slightly different approach on it. The last course I did was modular, which made life a lot easier. But I'm going to do the same type of thing, but I'm going to do micro courses because it means that they're cheaper for people to be able to purchase. They're
Yeah.
shorter, so they don't have to be so long to create. And they can be very focused on specific things. And a lot of what I'll do is be showing you how to become more productive, more effective, using things like Bricks Builder, using sort of frameworks, tools like that. I know you haven't touched upon frameworks yourself yet. I know you've sort of dabbled a little bit, but I think you will definitely, once you start to delve into that world, you'll start to realize the shortcomings of some other tools and how much quicker you can make sweeping changes to a design. And I think you'll change how you approach design once you
Yeah,
start to jump on board.
I have been looking into frameworks a bit more, and there's always something that pulls me away from it because there's always, we're always juggling so much in our lives. I mean, just to touch on what you said about the YouTube things, like people remember when I was kind of very dismayed. I think it was June or July when
Yeah.
I felt like I was like, oh my God, what's going on here?
Mm.
And it made us realize how you can't rely on YouTube. But I completely agree with you. With you, like, if there are any sponsorship deals or if there is working with brands or companies, whereby they're going to help support you because they know you're putting out content and things, is people just need to remember that the amount of time that it's ridiculous how much time, when you see a 20-minute 25-minute video out there, for anyone that has ever recorded a video and edited, it's ridiculous what we put into it, and you got to make something out of it. Otherwise, it's easy for me to say, yeah, just create videos, don't worry about any income. It's easy to say that, but you got to make sure you're getting something back to compensate for the time. But just touching on what you were saying about frameworks, yeah, I do need to look into it more. And I was doing a little project that I've now halted, which was where I was going to try and see if I could create one using code snippets that you could use on WordPress and basically any website. And then I kind of realized, it's not happening. It needs to be a plugin. And I thought,
Mm.
forget it. I'm not going that. I don't want to create a plugin. I don't
No,
have time for that.
no. I just think, this is one of those areas that, like, if you go back to when you used to sort of start creating websites before, you build every single page, and then you realized you could start to use templates.
Yeah.
And then you realize there's dynamic data, and you could create half a dozen templates and have a site with thousands of pages on. To me, frameworks are the next logical step in that realization process where you can create things so much quicker and with so much more flexibility. And just so many repetitive tasks that we do, on a daily basis, you can just bypass all of those with seconds worth of work as opposed to minutes worth of work.
Absolutely,
You know,
absolutely.
it's surprising.
And and without going into too many details, the reason I was looking into this framework, hey, Mark Harris, I'm sure he's going to try and join now.
Oh God, please no.
He will. I know what he's
We
like.
don't need that kind of negativity with us.
But it's like I was going to try and find a way of doing it with Elementor, because I always feel like that's the thing that holds Elementor back a little bit. Like once you've experienced global classes with bricks, it is such a like wow moment you have with it. And then you go back to Elementor, which doesn't have the global class. It always feels like, oh, if it only had that, it would make things so much quicker and easier and more efficient. And I was going to, yeah.
There was talk, or there is talk of there being global classes being brought into Elementor at some point. But again, how soon or how long before we start to see things like that, and how long that will be, a sort of an alpha, then a beta feature. And I think this is the difficulty: is that you've got to be so careful where you want to move over. If you look how long it took for containers to become, a stable thing. It's not even released now. It's a stable kind of feature. That's the scary thing. That evening, John. We just don't want that to be the case. Things need to move just that little bit quicker to take them from being an experiment to becoming usable. Oh, Jesus, it's all gone downhill now, hasn't it?
It has. The viewing ratings are just Netflix or not.
Where's the eject button?
Happy New Year to you as well.
Oh, Mark,
Happy New Year.
It's all going. This is the point when I always know that any conversations we now have are they're either going to stick to WordPress or they're just going to go meow like that, which I don't mind actually. By the way, it's always a good thing.
I'll happily stick to WordPress.
No, it's always more fun when we don't actually. I always prefer it when we don't. Just going to quickly say, Pathways asked a question going, what is the ideal hosting for LMS website? Again, it's like someone saying, what's the best car? Can't answer that. It all very much depends on what you want to get out of your hosting. What kind of bandwidth or how many visitors do you think you're going to get? How big is the website going to be?
Where are you going to host your videos?
Yeah, backup staging. Yeah, exactly that. How many videos do you need? CDN. Do you want to know that if this website is going to suddenly have 1,000 people sign up and they are high-paying clients, you want to make sure your hosting is super flipping reliable. Is it global audience?
And super scalable.
If your website goes down, do you know that you can rely on the support team? So basically, don't go near GoDaddy, basically, right?
Ever.
Start thinking about that. So I would say...
the other thing to consider is whatever hosting you choose, you've got to make sure that it can handle a number of concurrent users. That's the key thing there, because you could have 10,000 people signed up, but if only 5 people are online at any given time, no real problem. But you could have 100 people sign up and 100 people online at the same time, and your server comes crumbling down. This is the area that you need to look into.
It's not just that as well, though, because if your site is just serving pages, hundreds of people is no problem. But if they're doing something that's calling on the database hard, like transactions in WooCommerce and things like that, that's actions per second, isn't it? And queries per second. So there's a lot to look at. Hosting, well, one of those great topics.
That sounds so rude, doesn't it? Actions per second. Is that some sort of metric?
Only in your head.
But you do have to consider what Mark's main client base is.
Oh, yes.
That's true. That's a very good point, actually.
I'm just going to quickly ask, though, John, 2024,
yes.
Are you aiming for anything different with regards to web design or your business or your marketing, or is it kind of carry on as before?
No, my situation changed very much about 10 days ago. I've been approached to develop something in a different town, been given some space, an office, etc. to run it from. Ooh, so I may actually be coming out of the van.
Oh,
well, indeed. Yeah, so I've got some changes. One of the things I really found interesting was Paul's conversation on the AI side of it yesterday, and the chats and all the rest of it, and thinking, how that's going to make changes as well for a lot of people in this next year. How much more are we going to rely on AI, or how many customers are going to say, please don't AI everything?
I'm just going to quickly jump in and say, I get this question nearly every day, and people keep going, I'm worried about using AI, content generation. I keep saying it's words. It's just words. What you've got to be careful, though, is that if the chat GPT generates wording, which is very similar to what someone else has used, so all you've got to do is humanize and tweak the wording and make sure it works for the reason why you're putting it on the page. But it's like ChatGPT could punch out, "Hello, how are you today?" Well, that's probably something that I might say to someone. Well, I don't really actually say that to anyone. I don't really care how they are. But if that was something I was going to go outside and say, you can't then say, "Oh, that's ChatGPT." That is, it's just words at the end of the day.
You mean you wouldn't blame Elementor then? Elementor AI, which on the image side of it, we were looking about a year or so back saying the images weren't that brilliant.
Well, for code generation, I mean, look, at the end of the day, I don't think anyone cares how the code snippet was created, right? Whether it was ChatGPT, Bing AI, or whatever, as long as that damn code works, you don't really care. But I mean, the danger with using AI, I think, is when people just take it and you read it and you feel like you've read that somewhere before. But then I could pick up a book by an author. I could read the opening chapter and it's just words, kind of thing. I mean, look, every Peter and Jane book was probably done by a different author, but they were all like, Peter had a ball. Peter threw the ball. Did they use the word through? I don't think they put the word through in for that age range. I'll have to go back and double check this. Find my stash.
Is this research for your next novel?
Yeah, Peter and Jane. Oh, no, actually, no, don't Google Peter and Jane. What did they do? Because you'll get all sorts of weird stuff probably pop up now. So don't do that. Mark, really quickly, 2024, are you doing anything different?
Learning tolerance.
Oh.
No, that sounds far grander than it is. Think about my conversation with you and Atif yesterday.
Basically, you can read between the lines and say not killing people.
How weird you should say that, because I think my final comment last night was, no, I can't do that, Imran. If I do that, I'll be put in prison for murder.
We're not going to go into details.
No, we're not. I can't relive that.
It's mainly about how, and it's something I touched on last week in a video, 2 weeks ago, about questions you should ask your clients that you probably don't even think of asking. And it's something I've learned, which is any client I work for now or do work, my first thing I say to them is, what machine are you currently using right now at home? What phone do you have? And they find it odd. But now when I know my client has got a really dated hardware machine, or they're using a phone that's like 7 years old and it's never been updated, I now know that they most likely their phone probably won't work with WebP. So they'll see the website, they'll go, there's no images. Or there might be something that just doesn't work. And it's because their operating system is 6-7 years old. And no matter how much you tell them it's working, they're going to go, nope, it's not working. And they don't care that their phone is 7 or 8 years old. So I'm not saying that is what happened to Mark, but
no, it's far more niche than that.
Yeah. So he's going to improve his tolerance. Good luck on that one.
To change the subject,
I'll start with Paul. He's
yeah. Go on, Paul. What are you saying?
I say, can we pull up Yadnesh's comment a second? It's the last one comment.
Yeah.
Because I kind of think this is interesting, especially when you talk about something like ZipWP. Now, the sort of misconception I think a lot of people have when it comes to these AI-based web design tools is that they're doing something unique. But the reality of it is, I don't know if this has changed because I haven't looked at it in a little while, they're effectively taking, say, Astra or Spectra's pre-designed layouts and putting AI content in images and text into
a template
layout.
It still does that.
So I don't see that there's no difference there with literally you spinning up a copy of Astra, shall we say, choosing one of their pre-designed templates, and then just changing the content in there. I don't see these as being something that's going to take away jobs, other than your $199 sort of we'll build your website for you in 3 minutes flat. That's all these are going to do. There's a big, big difference between a quality website design, content creation, structure, SEO, all those kinds of things, and a site that's just been spun up by someone like ZipWP. Not to take away what it does, but I think people are really misreading what they're getting from tools like that, or buying into the hype of some videos that are being put out going, this is amazing, look at the amazing results you get with it. Yeah, you'll get the same result 10 times over with different wording.
I just see them as like, you got a brain block, you don't know what to do. So if you're going to use a template generator or something to give you inspiration, that's great. But I always feel like you're going to spend more time working with something that's generated from memory. ZipWP only does it in Gutenberg. I don't think it does an Elementor version.
No, I don't think so. I think there's plans for it to do that, but I think it's using Spectre, isn't it? It's using the Spectre blocks.
And it's one of the reasons why I don't like using even Astra starter templates. I always like to look at what do I need to do for the client and then base it on that, because I always feel like you end up spending more time. And also, if you're building responsively, you could get a template and you're going to assume it's responsive. That is not always the case, and then you end up tweaking, and then you might set your hero section to have certain padding and whatever, and now you got to make sure that you imitate that style throughout the rest of the website. And then you go, it can take a lot more time. I think it can be useful, but
to be honest, I think far more useful are the things like Elementor, Bricks Maven.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. Wireframes.
Yeah,
they're fantastic.
That is exactly it. The little wireframes, the things we've always used before, whether you're on Bricks or anything like that, where you've got the individual blocks and you pop it on just to speed things up, but you're going to refine it. But I will never ever resort to using a tool that's going to generate a 5-page website for me, because then I mean, the way I like to work is
Code Canyon.
The way I like to work is I'll build the homepage, get the homepage signed off, and then I do the other pages. Whereas here, you'll have like a 6-page website created, and then you show the client. He goes, "Oh, I don't like that." What are you going to now do? Change all the other pages? It's like, I don't know. It just feels, I don't know. It's not the end deal.
I guess kind of useful for hobbyists, people who are just building themselves a site for their new startup and they want to do it themselves.
And that's exactly it. I think that's exactly the same with, why would you just use an Astra starter template? In fact, you would just load it up, change the images, change your logo, and everyone's got Stormfront shops,
But I think it's the same with the attraction to Wix and Squarespace and so on.
Yeah,
is that you've got a different market, a different potential, user there is not the kind of person that will probably drop a couple of £1,000 on a website because they don't see the value in it, or they just don't have the budget for it. So you do have to kind of consider a lot of this is the horses for courses, and yes, they're all being sold as the next best thing. And once you drop the term AI in there, the immediate thing is, it's going to be this amazing thing, and it's all going to be done for me. The reality is that's not the case. You've got a starting point that still requires a lot of legwork. And as Mark said, you can get probably further quicker by using some kind of wireframe mockup, whether that's in Figma or in Elementor or in Bricks or whatever you kind of want to use. Because first of all, you're going to get probably a better design from it. Secondly, it's already optimized for responsiveness and probably, with a good one, accessibility. So 80% of your work is done and you've got more control. You're not just going at the whim of some AI god. You are having some creative input in it, and then you want to change a section. Well, if you're pulling it from the same design set, all those benefits of the first design idea are going to be there in the second, third, fourth, fifth iteration. So you benefit from it. It's easier for the client. And then when you are ready to build, a big chunk of the legwork's been done. You just now start to replace the content with content that you can fit into it, modify and create sections or design layouts that need to be created in a more sort of unique fashion, as opposed to just taking those wireframes. And the client gets a better end result. And you've been instrumental in the whole build process. I just think there's much better ways of doing it. I think this whole AI thing is, with web design side of things, most of it is crap.
Yeah,
really is crap.
10 Web I signed up to their newsletter, oh God, ages ago when I first reviewed their speed booster plugin, which I have to say, back then and even now, it's very, very hit and miss. And you might get a really good score when you first install it, and then slowly it will go like that. So I don't really rate it that much. But they're one of their managing directors or something, they announced that they were going to start putting out a weekly newsletter where they now start to review some of the AI tools. It's something I've also mentioned to WP Weekly. Maybe they want to consider it, but I'm hoping someone somewhere does a non-biased, genuine, good review of some of the products, developments, because every day I just find out about another new product and I'm just sat there going, I ain't got a clue whether it's good. I mean, most of the time they are really bad. What I don't like is there's loads of people on TikTok and YouTube Shorts saying this is amazing, and then when you look at it a bit deeper, you realize exactly that, and you realize, by the way, Paul was doing that. He wasn't saying they were touching or anything. It was money.
They might be that as well.
I know, yeah. And they're rubbish. They really are tragically rubbish.
Because it's a bandwagon to jump on right now.
It is.
With an open API for ChatGPT and a lot of the other tools, the AI tools, all they're doing is tapping into that, connecting up to that, and then saying, we are AI powered. You're not really, are you?
That reminds me also, I mean, obviously, I upgraded to ChatGPT 4 and absolutely loving it. But for those of you that are using ChatGPT 4 and DALL-E, do we know if DALL-E at any point are going to start allowing you to use reference images? Because that's my pain point at the moment. With Midjourney, you could upload an image or a photo, and it would use that as a source for your image. At the moment, DALL-E doesn't allow you to do that if you're doing it via ChatGPT 4. And I feel like if they can do that.
Because I've done that.
Have you done that? What?
Yeah.
You were able to upload an image?
Yeah.
Is that in one of your videos you've done?
No, just where I've been playing about it, use it as a reference image. I'm 99.9 because I haven't used Midjourney for probably the best part of a year.
Wow.
So I think maybe you want to go back and have a little look into that, because I'm 99% sure you can.
He is.
I think Mark right now is uploading some dodgy image, and he's written something. The prompt is "make it bigger." I don't know.
No, I took a screenshot of the four of us and I've asked it to create a cartoon of this image.
Oh wow!
But ChatGPT.
I thought you were going to say make us good looking and say, Christ almighty, you can't work that magic.
No, come on. Got to keep it real.
So it can be done then?
Well, it's saying it can, but ChatGPT is having its own fair share of network errors the last few days, isn't it?
It's because Imran's on there all the time.
I might stand corrected then. But
there we go.
You can sit down corrected if you want to. You don't want to stand.
Actually, I mean, to be fair, it's done it. John, you are now about 18. I'm going to stick this straight on Facebook for you.
So it does work.
Oh, dear.
It does. I mean, it didn't do a great job.
I tell you what, if you can send it to me via Facebook, if you can send it to me in a message, I'll see if I can get it on screen.
Oh, okay, I'll do it that way.
Scary thought.
This is going to be.
Does anybody need to see this
now?
I think everybody. None of you can complain apart from me. To be fair.
Why is that?
Because all it's focused on is my beard.
Beard.
There you go. Let's hope that's the right image.
Right. Okay.
Oh, I've stuck it in the group. Sorry.
No. I've got it, and I'm gonna see if I can get this onto the screen. It's actually come out quite surprisingly. You think Paul looks more like me? This is slightly weird. How do I show this image?
This will be interesting.
Right. This is. Do you know what? I'm using EV Mux, which is actually really, really weird in how I show things. I'm going to try and do it.
Richard's making a good point. Yes, you can very much trick ChatGPT into doing things it's saying it can't. I think I told you the story about the script from a TV show, didn't I?
Right. I'm just going to remove everyone. I'm just going to hide everyone.
Will anyone notice, though? I mean, these
No,
characters behind, they're going to go, my God, it is the same. Oh, damn, my hair looks good, though.
Yeah.
Oh, can you actually see the image? Because I don't think I can.
No, we can't.
Top of our heads.
It looks like I've got the right number of fingers.
Yeah, it does.
People?
On the one hand, anyway.
That's an awful.
Well, if I'm honest, actually, if you look at the fingers, you literally have floating fingers that are not connected to a hand.
Who's that? Me?
Yeah, if you look, your fingers have fingernails on both ends.
Oh, bloody hell.
Right, I'm not going to stop this because I can't get. I'm not sure how to get it properly onto the screen. For some reason, it's not letting me do it. But no, it's weird because it's like it's almost it's kind of turned Paul into me in a weird way, and given Paul glasses, which is weird. But it has been inspired by Paul's decor. I feel a little bit there with the plants and everything.
Yeah, I mean, it's 3 out of 4 people have got glasses. Everybody's wearing headsets.
Yes, that is true as well. Yeah, you'll have to
I seem to have a picture of John on the wall behind me.
You mean you don't anyway?
No.
Yeah,
I will stick it on the group.
Yeah, please do. Yeah, and I'll have to just double check with you what you did there. Now, Richard does make a good point because I have to say though, that Raheem is always logging into ChatGPT. So sometimes I'm working and I can see in one of my windows, I can literally see what prompts he's writing, and he sits there writing stuff. Right, please create a picture of loads of F-18s attacking Godzilla.
That's fantastic.
And he keeps getting a warning saying, due to copyright, we cannot show this image. But he has an obsession at the moment with Godzilla. Like he sometimes grabs his phone and he goes, Siri, is Godzilla real? And I'm like, it's not real. It's a man in a costume or not in a costume. And then he goes, yeah, but even if it's a man in a costume, that's still real. So he makes a very good, fair point. Right, I'm going to quickly round off now in the next minute or so, just so I can get on with some other stuff and some important emails that have come through. But I want to say thanks to John, Mark, and Paul for joining us on the live chat. I know. Do you know what? He was probably my favorite character of the whole Loki season 2. Not just because it's, the
season
actor.
3,
Sorry?
Was it season 3 or season 2?
Season 2.
Was it?
But before you go any further, our Robert Ross is not from that originally. It's from Red Dwarf, because that was what was on the box when they found Lister. It was written on his box. He thought that's what he thought his name was, our Robert Ross.
No.
If you go back to the comments right back at the beginning, you'll notice that.
I did notice a Red Dwarf comment, but I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't study it or make the connection. No, is that where it originally came from?
So the cardboard box where Lister was abandoned as a child.
You see, folks, you've really got to be up to date with certain programs to come on this. Otherwise, you'll need to Google search to find out what Paul's talking about.
Yeah, again, be careful of Googling that word because, again, I'm not sure what images will come up. So I have to disclaimer for anything anyone ever these days, right? You can't Google anything without something popping up. So,
but whatever comes up, run it through ChatGPT and see what the hell comes out and see if it looks like Imran.
Artif, how are you doing, Artif? We're just about to sign.
He's always late.
In a moment. But yeah, I'm gonna say thanks to everyone. By the way, for anyone who's just jumped in, do smash the like button. And if you haven't had a good think about what you're going to do for 2024, do it. Put your plan in motion. You don't have to achieve everything overnight. It could take you a whole year to get to what you want to achieve. But hey, make sure you got a plan and make sure you smash this year more than you did last year. And all the other garbage that people say about resolutions and having a fantastic year. I don't mean it. I don't care about your year whatsoever. Yes, I do. I do deep down. I do.
Harsh.
I know. I do care. All right.
Only if you pay him.
I'm going to say thanks to everyone. And I shall see you soon. And remember, it's only one live chat Wednesday weekly. So I won't be here tomorrow or Friday. I'm just going to start putting more time.
Imran.
Yeah.
Imran, are you planning on doing it roughly the same time, or are you planning on making changes time-wise?
No, same time. I was considering doing it later in the day, because of the US market. I have to be honest, this time is more suited for the UK, Europe, and Asian market. The people who are watching from United States and other areas, you might want to, it's way too early for them. But Nick does make a good point. Jeffrey is actually doing a live chat in 6 minutes about breakdance. I'm pretty sure it's it is breakdance.
We should all crash. We should all crash his stream.
Yeah. Just go and harass him.
What we should do is join it and start pasting lyrics to like hip hop songs or dance songs from the 1980s.
Or Rainbow.
And we think it was breakdance. We go, oh, is this not breakdance?
Ah, that's where you're going with it. Okay.
Oh, what did you think I meant?
I have no idea what the hell you were talking about, to be fair.
But yeah, it's like Crystal says, it's really early, and I might shift to a later time in the day.
The whole debate about East Side and West Side.
Well, New York is let me get this
7
right.
hours.
Mm-hmm.
Is it 7 or 8?
5,
I think.
5, sorry, yeah, 5, and I think the other side is then 8 or something. But even then, it's really early morning. I have thought about it, but this time really suits me really, really well.
You're wearing
I do loads of stuff in the morning,
Americans
jump on here, and then it gives me the evening or afternoon to kind of get on with other stuff. Other activities.
That's when the OnlyFans comes on.
Yes. All right, everyone, I'm going to say goodbye. Take care. See you all next week. Thanks again to everyone who joined in. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.